Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick. We are at Broadband World Forum 2016 here in London's Docklands, and I'm talking with Maddie Walker, who is a Managing Director of Communications, Media and Technology at Accenture. Maddie, welcome. Nice to talk to you. I know you've been spending some time on the development and creation of a paper which is basically about how telcos, carriers and so on, the communications industry in general, can be increasingly competitive. It begs a question really is why you would think they're not competitive in the first place. So my first question to you is, what's the biggest challenge, do you think, then, that's holding communication operators back from being successful and being competitive?
Well, disruption in our industry, in the comms industry, is the norm. There's a huge amount of change going on in the industry. Customer loyalty is dropping with an increased amount of churn, returns are down, consolidation, mergers and acquisitions, and then on top of all of that there's a new entrant, a new class of competitor through the OTT providers and the digital providers, and the telecoms operators need to work out how to respond to that, and what we've been doing is really looking at how they can respond most effectively, and what we're focusing on is actually how they can look at what they're spending and work out how they can invest it in the areas that will have the biggest impact. In other words, creating fuel, i.e. releasing the cash to grow. So that's what we've been working on. Okay, thank you.
We call it fuel for growth.
Yes.
How do the operators, carriers, etc. find that fuel for growth? How do they find it? Where is that fuel for growth? Where does it come from? When, as you said, cash is tight, consumers are putting constant pressure on price.
Yeah. So we've looked really at three different areas, and we've coined them different names. So the first one is about shrewd spending. Spend wisely. We have a methodology, or we have an approach that we've worked with a number of private equity firms outside of the communications industry and in the communications industry called zero-based budgeting, where we basically advise our clients to budget from zero and build up, rather than take what they spent last year and then previously forecast it. And then when they do that building up of spend, they also look at benchmarking and how they benchmark against the other industry sectors. So we've got a big database full of this different benchmark data that they can use and they can compare. So that's number one. Number two is really about investing wisely, smart investing, making sure you're investing in areas you're going to get a maximum return. And number three is about delivering streamlined operations, so delivering outstanding customer service but at the right price point in the most efficient way, using new technologies through robotics and automation and other different enablers like that.
Thank you. I speak to senior people in the telecoms industry around the world on a daily basis as my work. And a lot of the time people talk about slashing costs. The first thing they do is to reach for the scimitar and slash a bit at the costs. But you cannot go at costs forever and a day, because in the end it becomes, it's just not. In the end, what can you do when you cut costs to the bone? You can't go any further. So basically what you're saying is cost cutting is important, but it's not the only thing. It's not the only tool in the box, is it?
Absolutely, it's about reinvesting and where you invest to grow and to become more competitive. With all the new entrants coming in, it's really important that you're focusing on your next generation networks, the introduction of IP, and actually investing in areas to make you more agile, more streamlined, more focused, so you can go and compete against the new class of competition that are inherently a lot more streamlined than the larger incumbent operators. So it's really pinpointing your investments in the right areas to deliver maximum return, so you can be as competitive as possible.
So finally then, Maddie, how do you make sure that the fuel keeps coming and there's still something there to dig out?
Yeah, this is one of the hardest things to do. The first has to be leadership from the top, and leadership throughout the process, not just at the beginning. The beginning, middle and the end, there needs to be strong, visible leadership. The second is you get what you measure. There needs to be real focus on governance, measurement, financial metrics, so you understand where you are in the process. And thirdly, and this is the hardest one, is actually changing the culture of the organisation and having them become more agile and responsive and understand it's not just cost cutting for cost cutting's sake, but it's about reinvesting for growth. One of the things we advise many of our clients to do is to actually very early on in the process identify a strategic investment initiative that they do very visibly for the business, so everyone in the organisation can understand why some of the cost-cutting measures are taking place, so it can be seen and very visibly reinvested elsewhere. From my perspective, there is a huge set of disruption in the industry, but there's also huge opportunity for the operators that take advantage of it. The industry is changing at an enormously fast pace, but for those operators that respond appropriately and get this right, they will be the one that will be setting the agenda for the next 10, 20 years in the industry.
Interesting stuff. Okay. Maddie Walker, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.